Alright guys, how you guys doing? Today's race day. Uh, we're getting up with my daughter and my wife. Um, we got a few things to do on the car. Um, I got one of the fenders kind of ate up the tire a little bit. I gotta open that up a little bit more. Um, it had a overheating problem. I found a hole in the radiator. So in the end of the first heat, you can see I started smoking. That was from the radiator fluid shooting out the right side of the radiator, which when I get out to the car, I can show you guys the hole. Uh, it's pretty gnarly. I've never seen a hole in the radiator. I've never had a hole in a radiator, and you can see how many cars are in my driveway and in my, like, I've beat the crap out of cars. I take care of my cars. Um, Never had a problem with the radiator, so I don't know how that happened, but it is a hand-me-down car. I just fixed it. So I ended up having to rip the radiator out and put a new radiator in, um, new hose and all that. And today I'm gonna have to add some coolant. I've got a minor oil leak, so we got to fix that. And I'm gonna take the front left tire and the right rear tire and swap them because that rear tire's chewed up, and I just got to open up the fender a little bit. Other than that, that's all we need to do today to be ready and prepared. And the video you guys seen before, that was my very first time ever racing a race car. Never raced on dirt before. I mean, I've dabbled with go-karts for fun out at Grandpa's house, you know what I mean? I've been riding dirt bikes my whole life, four-wheelers. Bless you. Other than that, dude, like that was probably the most intense feeling. That's very undescribable. It wasn't to the point where I wanted to throw up, but I was more anxious and ready to go. And I think the worst part about it, and maybe most drivers can testify for it, it's the waiting to get on the track that is just killer. And then you can see in my feature, which is awesome that I even made it into the feature, which I'll kind of go back on how everything went. They kept going around. Like, they just kept calling for the caution for us to keep going. Because people kept dropping out. People were late. And then they had the A main, which is what I was in. And then they had a B main, which is only like 4 cars, I think. 3 or 4 cars. So they ended up driving around. By the time we threw the green flag, they threw B main out there with us. And my car was already overheated. I was at 195 degrees on my car just from going around waiting for the race to start. So we started getting going. I think I made it 3 laps, and then my car started losing power, so I couldn't do much of anything. I had to jump off the track. I didn't want to hurt the car any more than I probably already did, which I didn't. The ECU's got the safety switch in it that shuts the car down to make sure I don't damage the car. So coming into the race, I didn't know what to expect. I was just excited to even make it to the race because I've been working on it, and I've been busting my butt. The rear end was smashed in. The car was a total loss. But my grandfather-in-law, he fixed frames for a living. Um, so he said that he could fix that, and I was right there along with him, and I learned something new, which I can also show a little bit more depth and detail. But we straightened out the frame, straightened out the body as best as that we can, and we reinforced it. We welded all the rips in the body, because that's what it does when your car gets smashed. It's designed to rip and crinkle. So we had to get the crinkles out and put the rips back where they were supposed to be, and then we welded them, and then I put new sheet metal around it to reinforce the strength of where that rip was at. Then we had to rebuild and reconstruct where the fuel cell was going to sit. This was a good, fun experience for me. I've got welding experience, but that was way more fun working on this and being able to weld. So I had a fun time. But I was also working with a 70-year-old man, and I'm impatient sometimes. But he teaches me patience. He's very good at that. He doesn't get mad. I get very mad, but I got to work on that. So we got that all in there, all spec'd to all the rules that we needed to. I had to order 1-inch lug nuts, which thank God the first night got canceled for rain. So I happen to have ordered 1-inch lug nuts, and that came in next Tuesday of the first race night. So we're getting there after everything's buttoned up, because the car actually wouldn't start. Let me go back and finish my story. The car wouldn't start after I was done with everything. I got the fuel cell in, the bands on top, all the lines plumbed back on. We got the reinforcement with the roll cage, and I added an X bar, did all that stuff myself. I learned how to notch out a roll cage. That was very difficult without the right tools. Marker and a cutting wheel. And I wish I could have got all that on video. So once I got all that done, buttoned up, I double checked everything. Would not start. I was defeated, because all we did was pull the fuel cell out and undid the fuel pump. Didn't unhook any wires, just took the fuel pump wires, the feed and the return, off the fuel cell. That's it. We didn't do anything else. So I ended up finding the old wire harness to the car, which sometimes I don't understand why people don't do things the right way, but it is what it is. I'm thankful the car is doing well now. But the old wire harness had a couple of wires that were exposed, so we ended up splicing that and getting rid of it. That didn't end up being the problem, though. What happened is I put the return and feed on wrong when I put the fuel cell back in, and I burnt the fuel pump up. Mind you, the fuel pump would still kick on, but it would be like a high-pitched noise, and it wouldn't, it didn't purge the line, so it didn't have fuel in the system, and I didn't check it. I was trying to check for spark. My MSD coil zapped the crap out of me, and hand went damn near numb. So that was fun. I was like, well, we're definitely getting spark. So I ended up having a new fuel pump, and as soon as I changed it out, got the new lines put on it, it started priming, and then it was no longer a high-pitched noise. It actually, so I was like, well, that sounds like fuel in line. As soon as I hit the start button, it fired right over. So we was a little late to the races. We got there about 5:30. Kind of nervous, but like excited, not really too nervous. So I'm going to sign up, asking questions, and I'm confused the whole time. Like, there's not very much description for a rookie. They don't really tell you anything. They're too busy to really answer a whole lot of questions because they're dealing with other people. I'm just thankful for the two drivers that I ran into. They were helping me out as much as they could. Um, so I ended up finding out when hot laps were at. That was at 6 o'clock, and then we had our drivers meeting afterwards, and then racing was at 7. Um, and the lady on the headphones, man, she was very confusing. Which I wish that would clear up a little bit more, but I know sometimes it's hard to understand the numbers on the cars. But last weekend was the best weekend for compacts in years. We didn't have any problems. It went smooth. All the races throughout the night went smooth. I think we had the least amount of problems in our class. So somehow I didn't know, I didn't draw a number. I wasn't told I needed to draw a number, but I ended up lining up in the third row on the inside. As you can see, that was a good spot. So we're taking off, and I thought that was 6th place because I even asked. I was like, "So is the outside first or is the inside first?" This is how much I know about it. I just love driving cars. I'd street race more than anything, um, but this is the first time actually legally doing any racing. So I'm like asking all the questions I can. I just know how to build a car. I know how to work on a car. Other than that, I love watching them race. And last year, I watched the compacts. I was like, you know what? I could do that. And ended up going to get a car. I was going to build a car, but chain of events turned that it didn't work out that way. Um, I wish I would have still done it though, because the car would have been way faster than the car I got now. But my car is not slow. I just have to learn how to drive it, because it's not always what's under the hood that matters. It's how you drive it. So now I just have to get seat time and drive the car. I still plan on building a car, which I almost plan on building that green one, because that thing's light. I know it's light, but that's also my street car. So I don't know. I also got another car that I could possibly build too, but everything's kind of in the air. I'm confused of what I really want to do. I'm actually building a motor right there too. So we're in 5th place. I ended up finding out at the end of the night. So we're taking off, and at first I'm trying to hit the brake into the corners. No, don't need to do that. Found that out after the second turn. So I've already wasted all that time, but I didn't really lose my spot. I did end up dropping to 7th, so yeah, that technically I lost my spot, but I fought for it back. I ended up finding out it's full throttle, and you just let off the gas a little bit, ass end whips out, and you give it full throttle again, and you just turn through the fucker. Excuse my language. So I started doing good. I battled from, thank God there was a caution, so I was able to gain my position back, and I gained it back fast, as you guys can see. And that was a big move. That felt like a huge move. It might have only been 2 spots, but it felt huge. And I got to work on being on the outside a lot more. I don't know why it kept drawing me back to the inside. For some reason, it just feels like the shortest way to get into the straight is inside. All the racing that I've ever done, it's always the inside. I'll promote this a little bit. So, inside, you would think is the shortest distance, but because of the lack of power that our cars have, you have to take the outside. So what I was doing is, once I started feeling the car out a little bit more, it started overheating as well, but it wasn't as bad because there wasn't so many laps on
first heat. So I'm doing better. I'm not hitting the brake. I'm just letting off the gas a little bit. We come out of the lineup, gain my position back, and at that point I'm battling for 5th place, and I'm going. The one thing that I've been studying on is to not lock on to the driver in front of you. And you can see that I'm coming into corner 3, and there's a red car right in the dead center of the turn, and I'm battling the guy on the right side of me for 5th place. The same place I started off with, which I thought it wasn't, but either way, it's hard to think about all the confusion, the lady in my ear, first time ever racing, how I'm hitting the corner, so I'm going like, anxiety is really kicking in. Yeah, but it was fun. So I locked on his bumper with my eyes instead of seeing the turn where I need to go. And I hit the brake. My car kicks to the right, so then my steering wheel's left. So if it kicks to the right, you can see in the video too, the car cam. I correct to the left, correct to the right. I gather my car. I didn't crash. I didn't hit the car. And he comes around in front of me. And then I come back around the next corner. I lock back onto his bumper. I'm following him around corner 3 into 4. We're battling for 5th place, and he got me by a front end. So I thought it was a good battle for my first race. 6th place was enough to make it into A main in the feature, so I was pretty happy and proud of that. My points were 53 out of 105. So we got to do a little bit better. So today we're gonna try to send it a little bit harder. I want to push this car a little bit harder. I want to get up on the top of the berms a little bit, and just do our best. Try to stay safe. Make sure the car doesn't get hurt. But I mean, things happen. Rubbin's racing, so hopefully nobody gets hard feelings. I'm not trying to hit nobody, but I can't slow myself down because somebody else doesn't know what they're doing, or I lose control. I mean, if I lose control, I can't help nothing. Hopefully I don't get injured, but it's the name of the game. If you want to play hard, you're going to probably get hurt hard. So either way, I'm excited to be here. We're going to have a good day. I'm going to wrap this up, and we will be back with you when where the car's at.
Alright guys, so what I did is I undid all those and I cut the fender out a little bit more. Now I've got a better gap. That's the excess that I cut off. So the rear should be alright. Look at that tire. The tire's pretty tore up, but this should be good in the front left. And then I'll use that front left back for a spare rear. Throw this in the scrap pile. So right now, what we did is this fender was rubbing a little bit, so it actually worked out. I like the way it rubbed, because now it meets the body line of the bumper that we made. And that's off of I think a 2004 Mercury Sable. I think it looks pretty good. So last thing we're worried about, besides putting coolant in it, make sure it doesn't overheat, but as you see, had to put some Permatex because I've got an oil leak at the oil pump. So I'm hoping that that seals up. And we'll let that dry. It's fast drying, and I might put another layer on it. I got a baby shower to go to, but that's fast drying, but I don't trust the fast drying. I'll definitely try to put another coat on it just to be safe. So we're about ready. Really wasn't that big of a deal. Car is actually holding up together very well. I'm happy with it. That's a sticker that we got last week for racing. So got a little bit of water, got my fire extinguisher. It's a little dirty, but it's a dirt track car, what do you expect? But I think I did pretty good on that roll cage. My next one I'll build myself. As you can see over here, I got a 98 Acura Integra. It's just the base model. It had a B20 with the GSR head, but it's got its little blemishes. But I do have a full cage in there to be installed. I'm still on the fence if I want to turn this into the next race car, because the dash out of it will go nicely into my green Civic. But everybody's hating on me on how clean this body is. And this body is actually cleaner than my hatch, but my hatch is getting rare, so I don't know. I haven't made a decision yet, but we'll figure it out. But right now I'm gonna get some seat time. I'll get the feel for this car, just plain experience and practice before I start building a better car that I just go out and wreck. Let me see if I can't get underneath. I'll show you the bumper. That we made. You see the welds, and then we just went straight to the factory bumper support, and we reinforced it with some real good tubing. So that should not be an issue anymore. But you can see that frame, how well we straightened it out. Just think, that crinkle was touching the control arm on the spindle. I mean, that's how bad that was. We literally had to pull that, I don't know, what is that, 8 inches, 9 inches. We had to pull that out, and it eventually just started straightening everything else out. Had to shorten the control arm a little bit, and with doing that, it was trying to straighten the tire out, but the kick on the tire actually helps with entering the turn a little bit better, as you can see going down the line. So we'll send it. My name is Brett Ireland. I'm from Toledo, Ohio. There's not too many people from my area that are actually doing this. They're all more out in the country. Toledo, Ohio's more of the city, but I do build and store my car out here. I won't particularly say where. Hopefully you guys understand. But yeah, a lot of the guys are from Oakshade area, or they come all the way from Indiana, pretty far away. So here's actually the old radiator. Let's see where, yeah, that hole right there. That was enough to overheat my car. And see how skinny that thing is? Let's see if we can't look at the radiator I put in it.
It's a little bit smaller, but it's fatter. So, as you can see, what I did is kept the same two fans, but put a bigger radiator. Hopefully that solved my cooling problem. So yep, that's it. We'll be back at it later. Alright guys, to wrap up tonight, we had issues with the car again, like I said. This is the problem with a hand-me-down car, that you're trying to work out the kinks of somebody that didn't do it themselves. I wish I would have had time to really put my hands into the motor, and I'm running through the problems that I should have had figured out, but sometimes you can't predict the stuff. It could have been an air bubble in the system, could be the water pump taking a crap. I mean, you gotta think it's a 30-plus-year-old car. It's a little outdated, and I probably have been driving it harder than it's ever been driven, in a while at least. I was driving it as fast as I could as a rookie, and it was overheating again. My first heat, I didn't know that I finished a race, and it was already at 230 on the temp, and I started losing power. So, I mean, the car felt good, but just the loss of power, you can't really get anywhere. And I'm not here to be last, but I am here to have fun. But I'm trying to push the car to its limit, but I'm also trying to fill the car out. So overall, safe. Made it there. Car drove. Really can't ask for more. I got plans to figure out what's going on with it tomorrow. When we ended up loading it up on the trailer, I did start hearing a knock. I don't know if it's a knock from the motor or if throwout bearings starting to give problems, because I did start feeling an issue with the clutch. Either way, it could be that the motor's tired, but I do have some plans. I do have another car sitting right here, which would be a pretty good candidate, but I'm not going to give up on the car that I already have built, so I might just have to put a new motor or rebuild the motor. It really sucks though that these guys aren't stock by any means. Every car there is pretty much breaking the rules. It kind of makes it hard for us guys that are following the rules for the most part. It's just like, it's not competitive in any stance. But do I just play along and break the rules too? I don't know. I like to follow the rules. Plus, it doesn't matter how much power you got. If you can't drive the car anyways, it doesn't mean anything. So, we got some things to look into. I'm going to check the oil, change the oil, see if there's anything in the oil pan, figure out what's going on with the cooling system. I'll have to tap and coil, helicoil
the threads because I did overstrip the thermostat housing, checking for the diaphragm and the thermostat. It is what it is. I mean, that's a simple fix, nothing big. Overall, I mean, yeah, it sucks that I didn't get to race in my feature because honestly, the class I got put in the B main this time, it was actually some slower cars, so it would have been a little bit more competitive in the stance of the A main. Some of those guys were driving a little rough. I mean, they were banging and crashing each other on purpose. But that, I mean, that's racing. People get frustrated. Overall, it was a good night. A lot of good cars out there. I'm still learning. I mean, that's every day. I don't know one racer out there that's never raced and they're out there winning checker flags. But, I mean, I could be wrong. So, to end the night, I'm safe. Car got on the trailer. And we're still learning the car. Made it home safe. Family's all tucked in, so got a checklist of things to do, and we'll recap tomorrow on what's going on with the car. So if you like the video, give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe. This is all new for me, so I'm still trying to figure out what I want to do. I'm trying to put a little bit more into it. We did have a drone out there, so we got a little bit of footage from Eric Wallace. Appreciate you for coming out, dude. My family showed up, my mom, little sister, and a couple friends. It's great to have such a good support system, and everybody else that's behind me. Hopefully we can get this growing. Compact in our area is a little bit of a small group, but I would like to make it a bigger group because it's a fun sport. I love cars, and I've met a lot of good people. So real good time. Felt real comfortable this time, and it's only going to come more comfortable every time I do it. So. Yeah, like I said, we'll recap on what's going on with the car, and we'll get back with you. Have a good one.